$465 million, and they hired a bunch of
No names.
terrible, yeah, bunch of, I don't know if they're no names, but a bunch of terrible writers, or at least writers and showrunners that don't know how to do a project like this.
Yeah, give me Guillermo del Toro for season 2.
Hey everyone, my name's Nick.
And I'm Ray. And today we're going to be talking about episode 6 of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. And while it didn't feature my least favorite cast members, the Harfoots, I gotta say, right off the rip, not a good episode. Not a fan of this one. I'm really not.
Me too. They finally gave us the action that I've been crying about for, 5 episodes prior to this, but it was just lame. It was really weird too. None of it made sense and none of it flowed. To me, it's like the writers are trying to be super suspenseful about everything. So they're just making really weird decisions with all of their fight scenes, where the fight scene's taking place, why it's taking place. It's just all weird.
The biggest issue with this episode, and I kind of felt like they were going to do this anyways because it's near the end of the season, right? Mm-hmm. And they only have so much more screen time to do stuff with. It felt ill-paced, right? Too fast this time. So we have Numenor set sail finally. Okay, it took them 3 episodes of debating to do that. And then they immediately are there charging, mind you, at full gallop the entire way. A day's ride at full gallop.
That was funny.
And they make it just in the brink of time. Okay, cool. However, last episode, they should have landed on the beach at that point then, and then set out this episode instead of what happened, because we see what's going on with Arendir's, portion, that storyline going on, the battle starting. And really only a day goes by, and you're telling me they made it there. And like, I get there's time, whatever. Sure, I get it. It just feels weird to watch it in real time as it's happening, because it makes it feel like, they're playing an Assassin's Creed's Odyssey and they just fast travel to the continent and then just run there,
True. And if I might say, the showrunners, the writers, whoever, they try to make it seem like they're not going to make it, right? Because while they're on the ship, the Queen Regent asks the captain, like, oh, how long are we going to be there? A day to land, and then a day and a half, or a day up the river and a day and a half ride to get there. And it's like, oh, 2.5 days for them to get there? They're not going to make it. But also, they're coming from the other side of the ocean. How would they have any idea what's going on in the Southlands?
They got a raven, or they got a text message.
Yeah. They got Galadriel texted Arendir, and now they just know they need to get there really fast. They just have to.
Yeah,
and the sense of urgency makes no sense.
And what happened was what it felt like. Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 6. It took episodes to travel the continent. Episodes. And then season 7 and 8, everyone was just zipping around back and forth, right? And they just got rid of that consistency. And Game of Thrones felt it, right? There was a lot of backlash on it. And they're like, hey, what was it? No, that's not how it goes. Rings of Power did that in a fucking 1 season. They were so slow, and then they sped this way the fuck up, which I knew they would. And even with them speeding it up, it still felt ill-paced inside of itself. From the Watchtower of Ostenith, which, by the way, why would you give up that as the stronghold to defend yourself?
And go to an open village, nothing around you. And it's so funny, too, in the village, they're like, oh, they have to all come across this bridge. And they're saying, oh, we have we have a tactical advantage against them. What?
How do you? Open village, dude. That's the worst. A watchtower on the top of a hill with a steep... Dude, just roll some fucking rocks down it.
Apparently, though, nobody can cross that little tiny creek. They have to go over that small bridge.
Right.
So
that was my biggest issue with it, was just the tactical blunders being made here, which, okay, if you're humans, sure. But you have a how old elf there who's been trained and been in battle for so long, and he's the one coming up with these ideas, I guess. And he is a horrible tactician, let me tell you.
Yeah, and he's a soldier too, so it's like he should, even if he's bad at tactics, it's like he should at least realize, oh, okay, this is our best bet is probably the watchtower that has one bridge up it and is fortified, has a gate. You can just sit on the top of the walls here, and we can do the exact same plan, but better.
That watchtower probably has a force multiplier of like 5 through 10, like legitimately. And then that village has a force multiplier maybe of like 1.1, 1.2, right? Because they have roofs they position on earlier, if that, right? And if you have 50 fighting men, a force multiplier of 5 to 10 really makes that 50 men turn into men and women, turn into 250 to 500 soldiers, right? Roughly, not fully, but that's how warfare works. And it was just a tactical blunder to lose Ostenith. Okay, cool. You took out a bunch of them toppling the tower. Awesome. You could have toppled that tower as they're walking up the cliff in the other direction. Why didn't you do that? That would have been way smarter. Anyways, it happens. And, you know, you get the scene where Arendir is Superman doing it. You know, he's badass, which elves are cool. And then just the warfare here from a writing perspective is atrocious.
It's really bad. And then, you know, they're defending the village, and for some reason, obviously, Adar sent in a suicide mission for some reason, right? Even though he had all of these orcs and humans that he could just so easily take over the whole village. He wanted to kill a few humans for no reason, apparently.
Spring the trap.
Yeah, and it's so, well, what trap? Because, I mean, they sprung the trap, but afterwards we saw there's orcs all around in the forest around the village. It's like they only had the trap from one direction. So what trap are you springing?
So this falls on Arendir again, honestly, and the villagers.
Yeah, but I was going to say, I don't understand why Arendir especially, but even the villagers, why is everyone so surprised whenever they're humans? It's like, what?
You saw them go.
How is this such like, and then the music is like all sad, and it's supposed to be like this big suspenseful sad moment, and it's like, what?
That's
why?
They killed their fellow humans who just ditched them and literally said, we're going to join them.
We saw half of them go over. Like, how is anybody surprised about this? It's so dumb.
I will say, Adar here, definitely the smarter of the bunch, character-wise. He sure took his orcs up there, wasn't expecting that, because who would expect you to give up your stronghold? That, honestly, okay, you can't plan for stupidity fully.
True.
Cool, right? And they get out of there and they go back to the village, right? And him having the trap sprung with the unloyal people, smart, right? You get rid of potential dissonance, right, in your ranks. Also, you see what they had planned for you. That was it. Then, you swarm it. What he wasn't planning for was the Deus Ex Machina of the Numenorians arriving when they did. Right in the nick of time. And honestly, from this episode, the only thing I'll give credit to is I like Adar's character.
Yeah.
A lot. You know, he's
a first-gen orc.
Yeah. Uruk. Don't be racist. He's an Uruk.
He's the first generation of orcs, a.k.a. Uruk, like you said.
But what they gave him there was good character development, I thought, actually, for Adar, which is I care for my children, the orcs I've created, you know, in our image. And Sauron has been using us blatantly. He cares 0% for them. I could care less for Sauron. I just want a place for my children, essentially, right? And you know what? I can respect the fuck out of that. He is definitely a lot more of a morally gray character because of that.
Sure.
Cool. However, orcs are still evil. Sorry, you know, you're not going to get much sympathy from me there. And I just thought it was cool to give him that little bit of a character nugget, you know, and out of this episode, he had the best character development, character arc, if you will, and he's the most interesting.
Yeah, and I think I had mentioned this on our last one as well, saying that he was getting set up for a good character arc as like a good, like you said, morally gray villain. And allegedly, according to him, he killed Sauron. So apparently Sauron's dead, and I don't know. We need to figure that out now. Galadriel. It's so that whole chase scene was so stupid as well. By the way, Galadriel chasing after him, and then all of a sudden Halbrand is appearing in front of them, even though they're galloping full clip away. Yeah, for real. He really did.
He fast traveled.
He actually did.
And caught him.
Yeah. Yes, you are totally correct. He fast traveled because, again, somehow he started in the same place as them, but got in front somehow.
He started behind them, like straight up, damn near a quarter mile of behind them, and they're running in this direction, cutting, cool.
About as fast as they could.
He's like, you know what? I'm going to NPC appear on the other side. And come with this cool trip. And then he goes to kill him, and took Galadriel like 30 seconds to stop her horse and get over there.
I love that in shows and movies, whenever someone's about to kill them and they're like an inch away and someone says stop, and they immediately just stop. So it's like you were apparently so angry and ready, driving your spear into this guy's neck, and you're just ready to stop immediately.
Doesn't happen in real life. Literally, we were doing a fucking thing on our boat once, and some dude was supposed to simulate turning off our shit, and he actually whole ass turned it off. And like as he was going to fully turn it off, our chief was like, "Stop." He didn't.
Yeah,
he pressed it. We went down, and it was like, "Ooh, shit."
Yeah.
Uh oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, so she got back this artifact, and apparently, even though she had no idea what it was, and Arondir was obviously so concerned, like, hey, you need to stop him. He has something that we can't let them have. She's not curious at all what's in that little folded up
None of them look
sack.
at it.
She doesn't want to look.
None of them look at it.
He doesn't want to look. Arondir, he doesn't want to look either. He gives it to Theo, and he walks away. And then apparently Theo's like, I kind of want to look at this one last time, like Bilbo in the Ring, And so, wait, this is a hatchet. It's like, what the heck?
Okay.
Stupid.
You recover the object. Cool. You verify it's in there. Trust but verify. You verify it. And then they pass it off, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I don't know what it is. It's a super secret relic, but who cares?
Right. And it's not even a verification thing, because Galadriel, first off, has never seen it. She doesn't know what it is. She doesn't know why she was chasing this guy. Arondir's just like, you cannot let him go. He has something we need. And she's not curious. She doesn't know. She doesn't care. No curiosity whatsoever. And then she's questioning him and goes all dark side for some reason, saying she's going to keep him alive, murder every single orc in front of him, and then kill him last. Like, Jesus Christ.
That's some shit.
That's our good. That's our good guy.
Well, yeah, she's in the CIA for them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't torture. They just put him in the sun. Which, you know what? You do need that in some situations. In this case, end of the world. You got a guy who might know. You break him.
It's so funny.
But Galadriel doing it?
Yeah.
What? She is not she's not a CIA operative. She's not Jack Ryan, Jack Reacher, or whatever other Jack there is who's in those movies. She's not that.
Yeah. And it's so funny. God. Last episode, she has her epiphany, right, with Halbrand, like, oh, I can't stop. My men and my friends couldn't tell me apart from what I was hunting. And then she goes and just falls right back into it immediately.
She's a strong woman. You don't fuck with her.
I guess.
You know what the funniest shit I just thought of, actually? The most comical part of this episode, okay, was Galadriel dodging everything on her fucking horse.
That was so ugly. Dude, so stupid.
I was looking at that and I was like, why?
When yeah, the
Why?
first one that I saw and she flipped over, I was like, what is going on there? What just happened? And she just sits there, like arms stretched out for
And goes
like 10 for a few seconds. It was
chops him
so
in
funny.
half. I was like, why, dude?
Yeah.
Why? So
It
real
was so
quick,
bad.
positive here. The set design was great. Again, obviously
Sure.
the visual effects were great. Cool. Adar was great.
Mhm.
My biggest issue with the action in this episode, everything felt so disjointed, more so than it should have, right? You had the orcs trying to break into the tavern. Okay, and instead of just going to the front door with a battering ram, you have all the orcs start just circling it and start beating on a stone wall with their fists, like, right? And that's just the director saying, do something with it, right? That's not giving them actual direction.
Be scary. Be scary.
When in reality, no person. Okay, you got them all trapped in a tavern. Guess what's happening? Your battering crew's going in. Everyone else is kind of taking a rest. All right. Is there anything else we got to look out for here? Is there any horses charging at us in our flank that we could potentially see? You know, instead they're all just circling at the tavern. That's not how.
Yeah.
Dude.
And then for some reason, Arendir has this hand-to-hand combat. I don't understand why that orc had no weapons at all. He knows he's super strong. That's his thing. He's a really strong orc and punches people.
His weapon is fucking lightning and thunder.
Fists.
Baby. Lightning
Nice.
and thunder. Okay.
Nice.
And it was unnecessary, but whatever. I'm more fine with that than Galadriel's crazy shit, or just the battle as a whole. Like, battle is chaos, cool, but everything felt way too weird about it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's all walk in just like instead of fanning out and doing anything tactically sound at all. Oh, but they're orcs. They won't know. Dude, I'm sorry.
And that's what I was mentioning in the beginning, right? Everything that they're doing is just, it doesn't make a lot of sense. They're doing things that don't make any sense because it might look kind of cool, or there's a little bit of suspense involved. And apparently these writers and the showrunner love trying to make anything suspenseful.
It's just poor directing is what it is.
Yeah.
This episode, those action scenes, the action sequences, the sets could have allowed for so much cool, fun stuff. But the directors and the writers or whoever was on duty for that is really bad at doing that. Yeah. The writers built bad sequences, bad decision making into it, and then the battles themselves, the choreography was not good at all. Elendil just gets mobbed by a bunch of orcs, right? Yeah. And then falls off his horse.
And it's so funny that the Queen Regent, for some reason, she apparently like recognizes that Isildur wants to go and just allows him only to go. Like, why would she even care about him?
I know you're Elendil's son and one day will bear the ring. Go. No.
Why did I? Yeah, it made no sense. Yeah. So,
biggest.
I guess. Do you wanna move on to the end sequence, to the Sauron key?
So
we got to see what this mystical sword does. What it unlocks.
Props to Adar again for recognizing bad writing and giving the fake to Waldreg.
The real one to Waldreg.
Yeah, the real one to Waldreg. Here's the thing. Pretty much everyone theorized that's how Mount Doom was going to explode.
Oh, really? I hadn't seen any of that. So
if you look at the Reddit for last episode, that's literally like what everyone was saying.
Really?
Oh, that key's probably going to be that. Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean,
it's so weird to me. This is, I wonder what that key was initially intended for, because that seems like some really high level, really complicated
5D
and
chess.
easily messed up sequence of things that could go wrong.
Well, so the key first off, the only thing the key did was open the lake, open the dam. That's all it did.
So that's what I'm saying. I wonder if that was its initial intention, was like, hey, we built this dam here, and here's this key. If you open that lake and you dig out a whole bunch of tunnels toward the mountain, and then you let the water go into the mountain, it's gonna blow up all the lava inside of it, and it's gonna create a volcano. So
some dude in the first era, Morgoth's like, all right, look, you want a contingency plan? Okay, fine. build a dam, okay, and you turn this key. Well, what's it gonna do? I don't know. Fucking dig tunnels into the volcano, make it go boom. I don't know. Yeah. I don't care. And some orcs like, yeah, we'll get it. Okay, right? Yeah. And they build that, and it's just in some document somewhere. Some orc sees it, goes to Adar, and he's like, hey, look at this. And Adar's probably like, there's no way this is fucking real. There's no fucking way. There's no way this shit's real, right? Well, let's give it a shot anyways, because it's really our only option here.
Yeah.
And then the tunnels are perfectly dug into this lava, this magma chamber.
Yeah. Which obviously was all intentional. Which is where I'm so.
But here's my question.
Go ahead.
That water starts flowing downhill through the tunnels, downhill into the earth, down.
Yeah.
Not under that mountain, away from that mountain. That magma pit, how far was it from the base of that mountain, and why did the mountain blow up not right where that magma pit was? That magma pit should have blown up. You can't.
I mean,
unless my locations are fucked in my head, which they very well might be, that magma pit was not directly under that fucking mountain, that volcano, and it should have blown up elsewhere.
I mean, that whole thing was kind of seems like a stretch to me. And it's so... Opening a dam seems like a really low-level thing for apparently such a powerful weapon / key / Sauron artifact.
You have to have a secret Morgoth artifact.
Yeah.
That opens a dam.
Open a dam. Like, wow. Good use of your guys' time, Sauron / Morgoth. Yeah. What the heck?
Some dude had to plan that. Dude, poor orc whoever had to logistically plan that out. Just poor him. Because, he's like, there's no fucking way. But, all right, you want this done? We'll get it done. Engineering Corps is like, no, that's not a fucking thing. Why would anyone do that? Sauron
wants us to build a dam, and he wants it to have a key that's an invisible sword that opens it all at once. Why?
And to activate the sword, you have to stab it into your forearm.
What?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Are you high?
Is this a joke?
Yeah, dude. But hey, what? Props to the orcs for making it happen.
I guess, yeah.
And then the volcano eruption.
Mm-hmm.
Those blasts of rock kind of went a little far, a little fast. The blast wave was a little bit too powerful. Blast wave there would have been, but not enough to do that. I mean, they're pretty fucking far from that mountain. Unless it was a super volcano eruption, in which case, okay, sure, might be.
That's Mount Doom, bro. So
Mount Doom, that is fair.
It's special.
But if it's a super volcano eruption, the whole place would have been a caldera, and we know that's not the case. Just looking at Yellowstone videos I've watched in the past.
Maybe there's something special about that volcano in particular. That's why it was used to create the One Ring, right? Maybe. At least they're gonna retcon it so that is the case.
Yeah, but then here's my biggest issue with the end sequence. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of weirdness to it. It felt rushed, surprisingly, with how slow the show's been, right?
Yep.
But then the volcanic ash and debris that's about to hit that village, that would kill everybody there. Those are explosions and fires still in the front of that.
It started to. It killed. I mean,
in front of Galadriel's face, there was an explosion in the ash that was 100 meters from her.
Mm-hmm.
They will all fucking die immediately the moment that touches them, either from heat or from not being able to fucking breathe. How are they going to get out of this?
I don't know. I don't know.
You could have had that sequence happen and had the ash not go as far and have the people be like, oh fuck, we gotta fall back and set a strategic staging ground, right? Instead of put all their lives at risk again in suspense for no fucking reason.
But then it's not suspenseful. It's not as serious. It's not as high stakes.
They're going to die from this.
I mean, they're gonna get out of it, and it's just gonna be super like superhero, super athletic stuff. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be something crazy going on.
Or Gandalf shows up. Sorry, Wizard Man, not Gandalf. Wizard Man shows up and fucking Hadoukens it away.
Yep. Yeah, I think overall, right, I think that the writers, the showrunners, they just have issues. They can't write a very good story. Their pacing is terrible. It's too slow in the beginning. It's too fast up now. It doesn't flow well. The scenes don't look good. They don't flow well. A lot of the stuff that a lot of their decision making just doesn't make any sense. It's just, they're not good at what they do.
You know what else I'm super upset about? So this episode more or less wraps up the Arendir storyline and the Numenor. What does that leave us with? 2 episodes. We have 2 episodes left, right?
Yeah.
Which means we're getting a whole episode of Harfoot.
Yep.
And we're getting a whole episode of Elrond and Durin. That'll be a good one. Predicting it now. But, right, and I think episode 8 is going to be the Elrond Durin, which is going to introduce Sauron as Anatar, if he shows up this season at all. But episode 7, I almost don't even want to watch if it's the Harfoot. I don't even fucking want to watch the Harfoot one, dude.
And yeah, you had mentioned it in the last one. I'm hopeful that the Elrond Durin one is going to introduce a Balrog at the end of the season. That would be cool.
It would.
I know I have read something saying that Balrogs are not supposed to be here, so a lot of the purists would probably be upset about that.
Balrogs are supposed to be here.
Are they?
Yeah,
okay.
The lead Balrog fights High King Fëanor during year right around this time, or maybe a little bit ago. Maybe that's in the first age. I think it's this. Age.
They don't care about time frames anyway, so
yeah. I mean, they brought a sealed Elendil way ahead of time.
Yeah.
But no, it's this episode. What it was action packed with dialogue,
and really that's another thing. I hate the dialogue. I think it's trash. Every single sentimental, any sentiment, they love trying to get these again. They love the suspense and they love having these kind of trying to do sentimental things, but it just doesn't work. Like whenever Theo asks Bronwyn to remember what you used to tell me when I had nightmares.
No.
Say it to me now, please. And then it's just all, I didn't like it. I don't like the dialogue at all either.
Also, Bronwyn, I'm sorry. Okay, if you want somebody to protect the women and children inside and the disabled, it should probably be you, and you let Theo fight. I mean, he's 16, 18.
I think she was obviously just trying to protect him and not have him involved with the fighting, but giving him a reason why.
Yeah, that's called nepotism.
Yes.
And I don't stand for nepotism. Right? Just because you're leader doesn't mean you get to put your son out of the battle.
I probably would.
I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Most people would. I mean, myself included. But I can still call out hypocrisy in the writer's words.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, System of a Down said it best, right? The why doesn't the president fight the war? Why do they always send the poor? Right? I mean, it's the truth. Bronwyn, the leader of them, puts her son in safety and lets other children die instead. But this episode highlights, in my opinion, that the writers and directors are the biggest issue with this show. The actors are fine. The actors, I think, are doing well enough, honestly. The visual effects people, the costume designers, every other part of production is phenomenal. Yeah. It's just the writers and the fucking directors, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the most important part, unfortunately.
It is. A good story is definitely the most important part to entertainment.
$465 million, and they hired a bunch of
no names.
I don't know if they're no names, but a bunch of terrible writers, or at least writers and showrunners that don't know how to do a project like this.
Yeah, give me Guillermo del Toro for season 2.
And I mean, we still have 2 more episodes in this season.
It can't get much worse, especially next episode if it's the Harfoot one. Can't get much worse than that. I'm going to tell you that now.
True. So, yeah, really the Harfoots. I mean, so realistically, we should have a good next two episodes, right? The only direction that the Harfoots can go is up. And you've got the Elrond and Dern, which is your favorite story and mine so far, our favorite storyline. So, should be a nice next two episodes, right?
This was supposed to be a good episode. This storyline.
Yeah,
The Harfoot was always supposed to be the weakest in an ending.
Mm-hmm.
This was a really bad ending for the storyline.
We'll see. Maybe they'll pull it together for the Harfoots, and that's going to be awesome. And then during Elrond, maybe they'll just keep that one going good. Give us a little nice action going on. Show us a Balrog breaking out of Khazad-dûm, and it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
To wrap it up, this episode was pretty bad. The fight choreography, the fight scenes, just awful.
Yeah.
The decision making on from the characters, right? For Arendir especially, who is supposed to be a military man, potentially probably thousands of years old, just awful. Terrible decision making. A really weird ending. The only highlight of this episode was Adar. I do kind of like his origin story that came out. It's interesting. It's a good reason why he cares so much about the orcs. And I did enjoy that part. So that's really the only.
I really like Adar. I will say they did write a pretty interesting villain.
Yeah. So he's the one highlight of this episode. Everything else was pretty terrible.
Yeah. What I am a little bit worried about though from this episode, right? So to wrap it up, this episode showed a lack of direction, a lack of writing, if you will.
Yeah.
But one thing that's creeping up in my mind is when Adar was like, we need a place, we need a home. You know, it was like you're trying to feel empathy for the orcs when there's none. There's none to be had for them. Because at the end of the day, right, this is a fictional fantasy story where Orc and Uruk-hai and Uruks and Malkor and Sauron are legitimately just bastions of evil. They aren't good. They are written to be evil, not to be questioned. You know, oh well, they might. No, they're evil.
So
my worry is that this episode potentially is teasing that orcs may not all be evil, right? They're just misunderstood, which is my biggest fucking fear from that. I think it's a really cool character arc for Adar to have if they don't fucking push the narrative of, well, they might be good, they're misunderstood, because that's not the fucking case. Point is, orcs are evil. Melkor is evil. Literally, when the universe was sung into existence, he said, instead of, oh, he said, right? That's literally how evil came into the world. That's where it stems from. It stems from a guy who's like, no, fuck this. Yeah. So, whatever. I still think Adar is really well written. I will say that.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously, we're seeing the creation of Mordor.
With that, yeah, this episode left a interesting taste in my mouth, let's just say. And with that, Ray out.
Thanks for watching.